Blue Collar Pro here. I'm gonna do a little video. Blue Collar Pro here. Just kind of kicking off the 2026 season, trying to, encourage and advocate young people to consider trades as an option. And I went looking for statistics, and what I found out is that young people don't actually need help to be encouraged to come into the trades. On the dawn of AI and all these technologies automating a lot of tasks that used to be managed by a guy in a desk or a woman in a desk is doing a good enough job at encouraging the younger generations to choose trades. However, the statistics are still there that there's only 2 tradesmen replacing the 5 that are retiring, which means there's a shortage. So it's actually a really great time to get into the industry. And since it is a good time to get into the industry, it's probably a good time that, us entrepreneurs that's been at it, us blue collar pro entrepreneurs that's been at it for a while, begin to speak up and advocate and give these young people a chance. Why? Because fraud is so prevalent on both sides. The middlemen, such as HomeAdvisors, Angie's List, Thumbtack, these guys that are exploiting startups and providing leads that aren't true, aren't real, exhausting valuable resources. And in a day and age of AI, there should be a completely new way. There should be a better way. And that's kind of the reason why I built Blue Collar Pro. I'm not saying it's the solve all beats all, but it definitely brings to market an experience that I've had, and it solves the problems that were revealed to me. Short story, I was doing 60 projects for Lowe's a month. On top of our own projects, we were overwhelmed with tasks and moving parts with no systems to be able to track those things. And the experience that I took from that is that systems are more important than I ever thought. Being able to scale a company is one thing. Being good at marketing yourself and getting the work and doing quality work, that's only part of the equation. The other part of the equation is being able to extract information from your business that helps you dial it in, helps you tune it so that you're able to get more out of it. And I know that I'm preaching to the choir, right? Like, this is not this is not rocket science, but let's be honest. There are a lot of contractors out there, especially if you've been a GC for any amount of time like I have, and you meet these young subcontractors that have all the potential. They got the work ethic and they got the skill, but for some reason, they're always broke. They never have the money that they need to scale or invest in their business. And I think the number one reason is because of the lack of systems in their business, the lack of oversight in their spending. They just got hung up or caught up on being their own boss and thought that if they got an LLC that they actually own a business, when in reality, all they really own is their job. They now just removed an employer or employment structure that made them get a false sense of freedom, but in reality have no education in business, no understanding of budgeting or how to manage themselves or money. And it shows when these subcontractors show up and their hair isn't combed and they haven't been shaved and their clothes are looking, they just don't look very well groomed. And if you want to be respected, if you want to be taken seriously, you should look like you take yourself seriously. You should brand yourself. You should brand your team. You should brand your equipment. You should represent yourself the way society sees a company. And if you're just starting out and you don't have the resources to do those things, do the bare minimum. Keep yourself clean. Speak professionally. Don't show up smelling like weed. Don't show up looking like you just got let out of jail. Like, these are some fundamental things that are definitely in your control. And I'm not trying to be insulting or talk you down or anything like that. I'm just trying to equip you with like some things to think about on your journey as a startup contractor. There's so much out here to be had and so much to be experienced, and all it really takes is the desire to learn and seek out content like this. Seek out mentors that are out there providing the business coaching so that you can do very important things, which is estimate your projects, besides number one, which is market yourselves better. But honestly, being able to estimate the project. So many times I have contractors that I would, really see the strong potential in, and I would invest, latch on to a degree I shouldn't, but that's a topic for another discussion, but yeah, the number one question that I get is like, they'll call me back and they'll say, hey man, I just got this job and I don't know how to bid it. And my number one question is, well, do you know how to do the work? Oh yeah, I know how to do the work. Well, if you know what it takes to do the work, time plus materials equals bid, then markup. So it's that simple, really. I know it's a paragraph equation in its nutshell, but I want you to understand that paragraph equation, it starts with asking those fundamental questions. How much material do I need? How much material am I installing? And how much profit do I need on top of that to pay for my expenses as a business? So many contractors are out here just selling their labor and just not considering the expenses that it takes, the insurance, the workman's comp. Stop neglecting those things. The IRS, stop avoiding that thing. The IRS may be an extortionist. It may be in your pocket and taking from you more than it should, but it's built systems, and that if you seek out the knowledge and understanding of those systems, you can evade those things, and the benefits is all up from there, because you'll be able to have access to liquidity, which could help you grow and scale your business. So yeah, back to estimating properly. It's huge. That way you can be a profitable business and not just a profitable employee, because there is a difference. So the next thing that's really, really important that I think needs to be talked about in this industry is AI. And I want you to understand a very, very real dynamic. When I started this conversation, I let you know that the young people don't need help choosing the trades. They're forced into it because of AI. And these are educated young men. These are young men and women who have graduated an institution where they are lost and they don't know where to apply their skills. And so they're going to learn new skills out of pure survival. And one of the skills that the industry is offering is trade education. You think about it, all these influencers are focusing on recruiting and building networks around tradesmen. All of a sudden you see them popping up all over the place. I can't be the only one. Why do you think that is? That's because this is the new coveted network, or the new coveted marketplace for these people. Blue collars were often overlooked, but now that robotics and AI and computers are automating tasks, what are the people that were doing those jobs before the automation going to do for employment? They're going to come to the trades. They have no choice. And guess what? They're going to learn about these systems and these softwares that are available. And all of a sudden, guys like you and me who have been in the trades for 30 plus years are going to be at a disadvantage because we refuse to change. We refuse to educate ourselves on what's available out there to maintain the competitive edge. Because for the longest time, that competitive edge has just been your skill set. It's just been the exclusiveness of access to quality service. That's going away in abundance. And overnight, you're going to see that the competitiveness of our industry is going to increase. And overnight is a little bit, embellished. Overnight could be the next 3 to 4 years. And I think that's a very real prediction that needs to be considered, because these kids are coming into this industry. They're going to deploy these systems that are available, these systems that basically automated them out of their job. They're going to leverage that same technology to make you their employee. And listen, I am talking from experience. I got over more than 3 decades in this industry. I started before I was 16 years old, graduated a construction carpentry class, and by the time I was 19 years old, well, actually, before I tell you this part, I graduated a carpentry construction class, and in my senior year got to co-op and start framing houses, and was working and was in the workforce before I graduated high school. And then by the time I was 19 years old, I was actually running crews that an 8-man crew where everyone on the crew was older and more experienced than I was. And the only reason I was put in leadership is because I could read the plans. Is because I understood the primitive technology at the time, which was just a blueprint, right? Was just understanding math and understanding, you know, what these symbols and what this illustration was. It was directions to build something. Why didn't these people who were, you know, 60, 50, and 40 years old and 15 to 20 years older than I am, how come they didn't know how to do that? Well, I'll tell you. It's because they didn't want to know. They didn't think they needed to know until the day a 19-year-old showed up and became their boss. Listen, history repeats itself. And I'm telling you right now, I think we're on the same path. And so if you're one of the contractors that is avoiding learning about these systems and about these automations, you are putting yourself at a disadvantage. If you're one of these guys that are buying into the hype that blue-collar trades is exempt from AI influence, it's not. What they're not telling you is that AI is actually taking jobs, that's flooding people to this marketplace, to this industry. And what that's going to do is make it more competitive, make it more hard for you. So AI is definitely going to influence our industry, and you need to be in tune to how it's going to do that, why it's going to do that, so that you can be prepared on what to do about it. And so here are some things, you know, like I mentioned some things that I've built, and, you know, like this is a shameless plug. You know, I built these tools because I identify with the problems that are in our industry. And one of them is the BlueCollarPro.com. It's a fair marketplace that puts the burden on the customer to be able to provide a serious intent for contractors to exhaust resources in pursuit of an opportunity. Like too many times, the burden has been on the contract, or for far too long rather, the burden has been on the contractor to pursue the do the due diligence necessary to vet the homeowner on whether or not their intentions are serious. Because we all know there's window lickers and window shoppers out there that aren't after anything but a bid, but a number. And yeah, we're honored that you chose us and we're honored as contractors to be invited to that project. But you're not doing us any favors if you have no intentions about moving forward that project, or worse, have no resources to even take a project like that seriously. You know, despite funding and all that, you need to, as a customer, you should have all that put together before you call a contractor. You know, in the age of information, where it's in our hands every day, there's no reason to call up a contractor and be like, how much? You should already know how much. And that's why I built the Blue Collar Pro. We built a knowledge base into it that creates a real tangible way of interacting with a project owner and asking the questions that you or me, if we were standing there, would ask. It gives them access to all their favorite stores: Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's, Amazon. You can you can go and shop all those things that you want and bring those specifications so that contractors like me can look at your project and decide if we want to bid on it. And yeah, we're going to have to look at it. I haven't taken that away. The customer will just set up a pre-bid meeting, and as part of their bid package, and after us contractors take a few minutes to review the information, we'll decide if we want to show up or not. And this gives us our power back. It gives us our independence back. It takes away the vulnerability of what if. Because unfortunately, I've met so many customers in my journey that said, you're the only one that showed up and bid. Well, the reason that is because you contractors don't want to bid. It's because you contractors don't have the extra resources to risk to go after an opportunity that may not be real. The next thing I built is called ACTS. It's an acronym for Automated Cost Tracking Solutions. And this tool is specifically designed to help the young startup be able to automate those project expenses, those project costs, like employees, like material receipts, like, business expenses. And it's a diverse and flexible tool. So it can also help you manage your customers' scheduling, as well as your subcontractor network, which is a whole nother conversation. If you don't think you need to network with other contractors, you need to stay tuned, because I have a position on that too that's very interesting. So long story short, I know this has went longer than I thought it would, but I just want you guys to understand that I'm starting out new here, not from a vantage point of, trying to sell you my products. Hopefully that happens organically, but really my goal is to offer my community, offer the young entrepreneurs a resource that they can use to help them build solid businesses with strong foundations that they can scale on. But even the veteran contractor who is lost in all this technology, overwhelmed by the software industry selling bloated tools, overpriced tools, and these programs that are rising up all around you, like Contractors Connections and some others. These programs are just putting it. I don't want to talk about that yet, but these programs that are popping up that are advocating or presenting themselves as advocates, I want you to consider, I want you to question that. All right? They are there to take or to get a piece of your business. There is, especially the more competitive our industry becomes, there will be a tightening on those margins. You won't have a choice. You'll need to keep your business alive, and you'll do whatever it takes to do it. And if these entities are squeezing you out of your profit, leveraging software and platform fees and fees on top of fees, once you slice in the IRS and the insurance and all that other stuff that it costs to stay in business, what's left? How can a potential customer afford you? It's almost impossible. There is a better way. There needs to be a better way. And my platform isn't extorting or trying to take a piece of your company. My platform is here advocating you, helping you save resources, helping you identify where your resources are going so that you can make the changes in your business on the fly. And it's affordable. It's so affordable that you won't even feel it in your business. And you want to know something? Good tools shouldn't. When you bought that brand new truck, when you bought those brand new power tools, you bought them with confidence, knowing that these tools were going to bring value to your business. Think about that. This is a tool I guarantee will bring value to your business. Not because I say so, not because my opinion's biased, because I've used these principles and I built these systems because of the success. I was able to build these systems because of the success of deploying them in my company. You don't have to be a big empire. You don't have to be a huge company to have the freedoms and enjoy the type of wealth that comes from owning a business at this type of level. You could be a 1, a 3, a 4-man crew and actually be a millionaire and have that. You just need to understand the fundamentals. A, how to market yourself effectively. B, how to estimate your projects effectively. And C, how to protect your spending so that you can protect your margins effectively. Thanks for watching. Blue Collar Pro, out.